What's up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Going back into r/AskReddit again today, so let's get to it. Alright, so I got one that I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna be able to think back and remember these similar stories. The question was, teachers of Reddit, what was something that the class clown did that genuinely made you laugh? And there are some good ones in here. There are some minorly sexual ones, so if you have an issue with that, I'd recommend tapping out now. This is high school biology. A guy who was known for being a pretty good voice actor was reading a page on properties of fungi in multiple impressions, making everyone laugh. He often got picked to read after that, and never disappointed. We've had Yogi Bear, Irish Guy, Disney Princess, Shaggy, Scottish Guy, Patrick Warburton, and many others. Before he graduated, his voice was also recorded for phone messages informing of school events, school voicemails, and MC for many school events. Hey, if he's got that kind of range to do Patrick Warburton and a Disney princess, he's got a great career ahead of him in voiceover, let me tell you. And believe me, I know. While teaching sexual reproduction to year 8, one student loudly announced, "I don't get why they call it the birds and the bees. Trains and tunnels makes way more sense." I remember it every single time I teach that unit, and it still makes me giggle. He's got a point. In a big 300-person study hall at my high school, some guy started making the sound effect of a drag racer going through the gears. The football coach kept running around trying to find the culprit. But when he went to one side of the cafeteria, someone on the other side would take it up. Finally, the coach, red-faced, yelled, "All right, stop it!" The next sound was that of brakes squealing. The whole cafeteria lost it. That's pretty funny. On my first class, I asked my students to introduce themselves saying their names, their hometown, and something they liked. Most of them were guys, and they liked music, sports, video games, and such. After 4 guys introduced themselves, the 5th guy said, "Hi, I'm Peter. I'm from this place, and unlike the other guys, I like girls." And we all laughed way too loud. A kid asked if he could have a drink because he had a cough. He then proceeded to pull out a 6-liter bottle of apple juice from his bag. Edit, I meant pint. 6 pint. Okay, good, because a 6-liter bottle of apple juice, I don't even know how you'd pull that one off. Although now I'm kind of curious, is there such a thing as a 6-liter bottle of apple juice? Does anyone know? Did a presentation about conspiracy theories. It was assessed and he had to be recorded. He started off so normal, until he got to the Da Vinci Code, and started talking about the possibilities of Jesus and Mary Magdalene having sex. I lost it, but held it together for the recording. I then asked him to elaborate on other theories he had heard, and he calmly said, "Well, there was this one that said that Hitler was a dolphin," and I had to escort myself out. Okay, Hitler was a dolphin? Hold on, I gotta look this up. Okay, so a quick Google search yields the result of, well, basically the only thing I can find is another subreddit where people claim this. So a post on Reddit is perpetuating a conspiracy theory born on Reddit. There is nothing out there that I can find that really shows any other serious conspiracy theory about Hitler being a dolphin. I mean, it couldn't be a serious conspiracy theory to begin with, but, you know. Anywho. Still. Oh. And then 2 of these comments here that follow it up. Adolf in. He started World War II on porpoise. And just like that, we're back into r/dad jokes. While walking around the classroom, I tripped on a boy's backpack and almost face planted on the floor. A girl asked me if I was okay, to which I replied, "No, he almost killed me." He then turned to me and, without missing a beat, replied, "I won't fail next time." We still laugh about it every 2 weeks. Definitely my favorite in that group. Mooned the cops and burst through the classroom door yelling, "Gangster rap made me do it," while being hauled away. What? Gangster rap made you do it? Alrighty. Not necessarily the class clown, but I once had one of my first graders look me square in the eye and ask me, why don't they call cookbooks nonfiction? It's stuck with me for about 5 years now. That's actually a good point. Why don't they call cookbooks nonfiction? I mean, they are. Talking about statistics on industrial maiming accidents during the Gilded Age, and this kid raises his hand and asks in all seriousness if getting one's nipple rings ripped out by a 19th century textile machine would count as maiming. I mean, by definition, yeah, I'd imagine that would constitute maiming, but nipple rings weren't really a thing back then, at least in Western culture, as far as I'm aware. That's really only a relatively recent thing of the last, 50, 60 years-ish? Weird kids. I had a class of 4 for A-level chemistry. They were all very bright and some of the greatest students I had. We were talking about isomers when the brightest boy in class asks, "Miss, how do snakes have sex?" Which led to the whole rest of the class and me bursting in laughter. The following discussion of a mating ball only added to the laughter. Became a meme in the class, actually. When we would get off track, someone would say, "snake sex," and then we would giggle and go back to work. Aw, that's surprisingly wholesome. I had a habit of throwing markers at students and asking them to throw it back. I'd hold up a hand but never actually try to catch it. Just stood there motionless. During a physics unit, I was tossing a tennis ball around the room. I asked a kid to throw it and took my normal pose. He took his shot and lobbed it, lightly, at my crotch. Direct hit. Oh. I don't care how light it is, that's always gonna hurt. Frick. For some reason, that just kind of reminds me of my economics teacher I had in high school. He was this huge guy. I want to say he was an ex-Marine. And I think, Hobner, Mr. Hobner. Big, classically liberal economist. Huge free market guy, which was really cool because it wasn't just the slanted stuff that I'd been getting up to that point. And dude was so over the top, though, with some of his antics. Like, he was a huge germaphobe. If someone coughed or sneezed, he would literally slam his hand on the board if he was at it, and then clomp over to his desk, grab the Purell or whatever, clomp to that student's desk while everyone's watching, and then as soon as he gets there, he's like, "Present your hand." And so you'd open the hand that you sneezed into, and then just glob, and then he'd just clomp back to his desk and continue on with the lesson like nothing had happened. It was the funniest thing. Oh my gosh. I still remember it to this day. Oh, yeah, no, that was a fun class. Kind of patting myself on the back here, but our teacher had her fly undone for the whole lesson, and people in the class were whispering and giggling about it. Teacher was getting a bit upset, so I yelled out, "Hey guys, zip it!" Everyone burst out into laughter. I think my joke telling peaked that day. Oh, also, the teacher never noticed. I confiscated a kid's phone because he arrived to the lesson using it to listen to Eminem on full volume. He swore at me, then walked to the front of the classroom, disconnected my monitor from my PC, and calmly carried it out of the classroom stating, "You steal my phone, I steal your monitor." I teach computer science, so I was really pleased when he said monitor. He had only ever referred to it as the TV before, and I didn't think he was listening when we did output devices. Silver lining. Sorry, not a teacher, but just wanted to share. I had a teacher that liked to smack the meter stick on the table to get students to behave. One kid hid them all and then started to troll the teacher. Watching the teach scrambling to find these sticks was pure gold. The whole class laughed. Even the teacher had a good chuckle once he realized he got played. A kid with the last name Watts stuck a paperclip in a socket on the first day of school. I don't know if he planned it or what, but he was fine afterwards. Watts and electricity, that's... I wonder if this is the same kid. Because I actually know someone with the last name of Watts, and I could totally see him doing this when he'd be a kid. I mean, my gosh, the kid, I love him, but he just does some of the stupidest things. Like one time we were living together and it was me and him and two other guys in the same apartment. And one day we came back from grocery shopping and he was just like, I don't even know why he said this, but he's just like, I bet you guys don't think I'd poop in a plastic bag. And we're like, what? Where did that come from? And he's like, what? I bet you guys don't think I'd do it. And we're like, you shouldn't do it. That's gross. Why on earth would you do that? We're in America. We have functioning indoor plumbing. There is literally no reason why you need to do that living in a city environment right now. Well, an hour later, he comes out of the bathroom and he's like, guess what I did? And our front room immediately stinks as he's swinging this plastic bag around on a single finger. And we're all just like, dude, what is wrong with you? What? You didn't think I'd do it? None of us said we didn't think you'd do it. We all said you shouldn't. And he's never lived that down. Gosh. Oh, I could totally see him sticking a paperclip in an electrical outlet. We had a kid start an oral presentation with, cut the plot into pieces. This is my book report. Oh, Papa Roach. You know, in all fairness, I actually do really like Papa Roach. Most of their stuff. Not all of it, but a good portion of it is very enjoyable. I'm not a teacher, but in my 6th grade English class, we were supposed to think of a social change we want to see happen in our lifetime. This one dude said, I don't know, dog depression? The teacher was laughing so freaking hard, she had to leave the room. Dog depression. There was this goofy boy, who I'll call A, in my math class. Not a teacher, but an assistant to it, that would announce students as they walked into class. And he wasn't mean or anything. He'd just either say your name, like the Price is Right announcer, or something silly about you like, ladies and gentlemen, you may know him as Chris, but we all call him that guy who referred to gray as dark white. So, usually nothing bad. But one time during class, this girl walks in and she was pretty small. She kinda looked like she might be a little person, but insisted that she wasn't. Anyway, A starts hushing the class and says, Guys, we are in the presence of a celebrity. And we all start looking around, and then he says, welcome everyone, the midget from Hell Date. I laughed so hard I got sent to the nurse's office to use my inhaler. I can see that being pretty funny. I was teaching my 2nd grade class about hyperbole. I said, so if you say I'm the best teacher ever, that would be hyperbole. One of my students raised their hand and, with a surety only a child can have, said, oh, so it's like sarcasm. That kid's going places. Rearranged my classroom. Turned everything backwards by moving my desk to the opposite side of the room, turning all desks around to face the back, and even moved a bookcase. Accomplished all this during lunch, which made it even funnier. From my stepmom, I want to note while everyone had a good laugh, I think she just wanted to quit her job. Her to the class. If you guys won't start studying, 80% of you will fail this year. Voice in the back. That isn't even possible. We aren't that many. I'm not sure if I was considered the class clown, but I was definitely disruptive. I could make my teachers laugh every once in a while, but the one that did it best was when a very studious girl named Courtney yelled at me to shut up because she was trying to pay attention. The teacher would never reprimand her for this. After all, it's what the teacher wanted to say. But both Courtney and the teacher laughed when I leaned over to my cousin and said in a very obnoxiously loud whisper, "Hey, I think Courtney likes me." Obligatory, not a teacher. But this one is one of the most hysterical things I've heard. My high school had a study hall period that you could use to work on homework, make up tests, missing work, etc. My favorite teacher taught history and had a good sense of humor, but also not much classroom control. So her room during study hall was always a bit wild. Her room was arranged in such a way that her desk was in one corner, but the phone was in another, by the sink. This meant that often during class and almost always during study hall, If the phone rang, a student would pick up the phone since they were closer. The chemistry teacher, who was a stone-cold witch if ever there was one, and had zero sense of humor, called up one day during study hall for something. A student, who we shall call M, not knowing who had called, picked up the phone and said, "Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?" M's face transitioned into sheer horror once he realized who he had said it to, and then immediately hung up on her. So he screwed up not just once, but twice on that one phone call. He made himself scarce just in time for the chemistry teacher to get up to the history teacher's classroom, fully prepared to remount whoever had answered the phone. History teacher, not knowing what had happened, just vaguely apologized and the chemistry teacher left in a huff. Someone tells the history teacher what really happened, and then she can't stop laughing once she realizes what M said on the phone. It may be more of a you had to be there kind of thing, but this remains one of the funniest things that happened in high school. I was teaching simple present questions. I wanted them to imagine they were employers looking for specific occupations. Me. Guys, what questions would you ask someone to know if he or she could be a good, let's say, firefighter? One of them opens his eyes wide and yells, "Teacher, I would ask him if he likes to make calendars." That's pretty cute. That was r/AskReddit, and if you want more funny or uplifting AskReddit content, then go ahead and check out the playlist link in the description below. Now you guys go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.